guys, welcome to my channel. Today I'm just going to be talking about things you need to know before you PCS to Naval Station Rota. I do have some notes on my phone and I'm just going to get right into it because I do have a lot to cover. So first I'm going to start with the Navy Lodge. Housekeeping does come every day. I want to say they come before like 10 o'clock. And if you have a pet in your room, they're not going to be able to clean your room if you're not there. They were cleaning someone's room one time. They had a cat. The cat got out and then they were never able to find the cat. So the only way they're going to be able to clean your room if you're not there is if you have like a kennel or a cage and you put your pet in there while you're not there. What I would do, because I didn't feel comfortable leaving my cat in the kennel because I would be gone for like extended periods of time sometime, is I would just open the door all the way and I would stand right outside the door just to make sure like my cat didn't run away. Thankfully he never did because he's like a scaredy cat, and so he would just hide under the bed and then they would clean the room really fast and then I would go back in. If you do happen to miss a day, they're going to leave a note on your door saying like, hey, we tried to clean your room, but we couldn't because your pet was out of the cage. Also, there is a lot of ants in the Navy Lodge. So if you do have pets, I would recommend putting their food closer to the door rather than like in the kitchen area because the ants are really going to demolish their food. Our cat's food will be covered in ants like all the time. So once we moved it to the door, it was fine. The Wi-Fi does go in and out, so I would recommend like downloading a lot of your shows or movies you want to watch onto like your iPad or something, because it's gonna suck when you're trying to watch something and there's just no Wi-Fi. Another thing you can do is just, if you have hotspot on your phone, hotspot your phone to like your tablet or your iPad or your computer. What we did was we had an HDMI cord that we plugged up to my laptop and then into the back of the TV, and when the Wi-Fi wasn't working, I would just turn my hotspot on and it would play that way. Sometimes the Wi-Fi does disconnect though, because like you have to sign in I think like every hour or every couple of hours. So if the Wi-Fi is not working, that's the first thing I would do, is make sure that you're connected. It might say like the Wi-Fi is on but not connected. That means that you have to go like turn it off and then turn it back on, click the Wi-Fi, and then log back into it, and it should be fine. There are a lot of stray cats there as well that they're going to tell you not to feed. I didn't listen, and I would feed the cats at night when no one was watching. I literally would just like leave piles of food anywhere where I would see like the cats during the daytime, and it was usually gone by the morning. Lastly, they do have like free breakfast items in the morning. I think until like 9 or 9:30. Like juice, water, coffee, granola bars, apples, bananas, oranges, yogurts, milk. Now I'm going to be talking about ICR classes. ICR classes are 4 days long. Ours were Monday through Thursday from 8 to 3. You do go on a field trip on the third day. I'm not going to say where we went because you might not go there, so it's kind of pointless for me to say that. You do learn some customs, like things that are okay and not okay to do in Spain, and they also give you like a quick little Spanish lesson. You are gonna get like a lot of presentations from other groups or organizations around the base, such as like the fire department, human resources, NCIS. So whatever I don't cover in this video, they're gonna cover in ICR. Also, everyone 18 and older in your household does have to attend ICR classes. It's like mandatory. And then on your last and final day in ICR classes, you're gonna take your driver's test. Me and my husband passed. He only get 10 questions wrong. We got 6 and we didn't study at all. So yes, we were like borderline failing, but we ended up passing in the end, so it was fine. It's not that hard, and then they do go over the driving stuff with you right before you take your test, so it's kind of fresh. And then you can also ask for like the little manual to take home, and then you can like read over it throughout the week. Moving on to housing and moving. I would expect to have a lot of housing appointments. At least for us, we probably went at least 10 times because it was like during the holidays, like Christmas and then the Spanish Christmas. So it was short staffed because everyone was like on vacation. You literally need an appointment for everything. Like if you're trying to turn in your pre-contract, you're gonna need an appointment. If you want to look at places, you need an appointment. And before you can even start looking at places, you do have to do like a 1 hour like orientation. They just kind of explain like what your OHA is, which is your overseas housing allowance, and how much you're gonna get. Places that are great to live in, places that are okay but might be too far, and things like that. Once you are ready to start looking for places, you do have to have an appointment because someone from the housing office does need to go with you because there's like a language barrier. a lot of the owners or people who are trying to rent their places don't speak English, and if you don't speak Spanish, it's gonna be hard for you. We did see a couple places on our own, but like I said, we were having a little bit of trouble because I know a little bit of Spanish, but I didn't know like everything, and so it was kind of like we were making progress, and then I'm like, wait, what are you saying? And then they're like, wait, what are you saying? So I would honestly just go with someone from housing unless you speak like fluent Spanish. You can see as many houses as you want, but they do kind of push you to move fast because let's say you see a place that you want to move into on Monday, and then you're like, okay, I'm gonna go back to the housing office on Thursday to sign for it or tell them, you know, I want it. It might be gone by that Thursday. So once you see a place that you really like, unless it's been on the market for like a while, I would jump on it right away, because there was another property that we liked and it was taken. We literally only like waited a day, not even 24 hours, and it was already off the market. A lot of the places that you're gonna see does use butane or butano, which is basically like little tanks of gas. And when you run out of gas, and let's say you're taking a shower or something, your shower water is going to be cold because you have no more hot water. Like, you don't have a hot water heater if you use butane. Thankfully, the place that we found, it is electric, so our water does take like a minute or two to warm up, but it stays hot for as long as we need it to, which is good. Chipiona isn't a bad place to live, but it's about like 20 or 25 minutes from base, and that's not so bad during like the winter time when there's like no traffic because nobody's like really in Spain. But once the summer hits, you're gonna be stuck in traffic and you're gonna have to leave a lot earlier in the morning to get to work. So I wouldn't recommend living there, but you do get more bang for your buck because the houses out there are bigger. Sanlúcar is also like a small country town. It's about 15 or 20 minutes from base, but kind of the same thing with Chipiona. It's gonna be hard to get to work when the summertime hits. I mean, the summer is only 1 month here, which is August, but I don't know if you want to deal with that for even a month. So I would just recommend living in like New Rota. I live in Puerto, which is like probably 5 or 10 minutes from base. Also, OHA will only cover your rent to the dollar amount. So like, we are supposed to be getting $1,700, but because the place we are renting is only 1,400 euros, we only get 1,400 euros. Unlike BAH, where you get to like pocket the extra money that you have, you do not get any extra OHA. They will pay you the exact amount for your rent. A lot of people usually go to the post office on base to get a money order for their deposit and their first month's rent. You don't have to do that if you have a passport, because you can download Wise. It's an app, and you need your landlord's banking information, and then you can just like electronically send money to them that way. The only thing about Wise is that it does tax you depending on how much money you send. So I sent about $1,400. It came up to I think like 1,527 American dollars, and then I think I got like $27 or something like that in tax. So just be mindful of that. Also, before you're able to move into your place, once you sign for it and everything like that, you're gonna have to wait like 48 hours for them to do an inspection of the place, just to make sure like nothing's broken, nothing's out of place, and that it's like good for you to live in. You can also negotiate things that you want in your rent as long as the landlord okays it and they put it into your lease. So for example, this girl got them to build her a garage because she had no parking space, and honestly, I would look for places that have a parking space because like I said, once the summertime hits, you don't want to be like walking or looking for a parking space anywhere. Some of the things that you can negotiate is pool service if your place comes with a pool. You can do like gardening service, you can have housekeepers, but again, it does all have to be written into your lease in order for them to pay for it every month. So for example, we got our Wi-Fi included, so our landlord pays our Wi-Fi every month and we don't have to worry about that. They also were nice enough to leave us some furniture, and then they stocked the fireplace with logs, so we didn't have to worry about that. Before I start talking about the trash, I'm just going to say really fast that if you live in base housing, you're not going to have to worry about separating your trash. You get to live like you're in America basically. But if you don't live on base, you are going to have to separate your trash. And speaking of that, let's just hop right into it. So I'm only going to be talking about the trash in Rota and Puerto because I don't know how it works in other places, but I'm sure you can find out or like Google it. So the trash containers are basically like the garbage cans that you would see like in America, the bigger ones. And in Rota, you can only dump the trash in there from 7 p.m. at night to midnight. In Puerto, you can only dump the trash in the containers from 8 p.m. to midnight. if you are caught dumping trash outside of those hours, they can fine you. And I think it goes on your rent or something like that. I'm not really sure, but you're gonna get fined. So just try to like dump your trash within those hours. You'll notice kind of like on the streets, not every street, I guess it really just depends, but there's like these little trash cans. They're probably like this big. Well, they're not that big, but they're like little square containers. And I think they have like a handle or something on it. They're smaller than the containers, and they're usually like on the street. Those are like underground trash bins, and you can throw trash in there 24/7. So like if you're walking down the street and you have like, I don't know, a coffee cup or something, and you see one of those, you can throw it in there at any time of the day. So to make it easier on you to like know which bin to dump the trash in, the trash bins are color coordinated. I'm only going to say the color coordination for Puerto because I'm not sure if they're the same in Rota and in other places. All of your organic trash is going to go into the brown containers. Plastic containers such as like juice boxes or like the brick containers and cans are going to go into the yellow bin. Paper and cardboard is going to go in the blue bin, and then glass is going to go in the green bin. There's also another bin for clothing. I think ours is like gray or white or something like that. And you basically just throw in all your used clothing in there. Moving on to a Spanish bank account. Basically, if you don't have a Spanish bank account, it's going to be really hard for you to do a lot of things. So for example, us, we couldn't get our phones turned on because we did not have a Spanish bank account. And in order to get a Spanish bank account, it really depends who you bank with, but you need like your passport and then like your NIE card. So I would recommend doing your NIE and your TIE as soon as you get on base, and you can just go to security for that and they'll help you out. That's also where you can get like a temporary driver's license for 60 days while you wait for, you know, you to pass your driving test. And if you don't happen to pass your driving test during ICR classes, it's fine. You just have to keep going back to the other ICR classes on the testing days until you pass. But in the meantime, you'll still have like your temporary driver's license, so you should be fine driving. Moving on to driving. You can rent a car with like your US driver's license or passport. We usually go to Jerez Airport to Gold Car, and that's where we've been getting like our rentals from. I think you have to put like a deposit down of like $1,400 or something like that. That's like insurance in case you wreck the car or something. They're just gonna take all the money to pay for the car. And Jerez Airport is about 30 or 35 minutes away from base. When you are on the freeway, you do have to stay in the right-hand lane at all times unless you're passing. If you're passing someone, it's okay to get in the left-hand lane, but as soon as you pass that vehicle behind you or the vehicle you were trying to pass, you do have to get back in the right-hand lane. Also, if you've never seen roundabouts before, there are a lot here, but don't be afraid. I promise they're not that bad. If you are coming up to a roundabout and you see cars already in the roundabout, let those cars go first, and then when you see that there's no cars coming, you can enter the roundabout. You usually stay on the outside lane of the roundabout, so I think it's like the furthest right-hand lane of the roundabout, because that means like you're going to be getting out of the roundabout soon. If you miss your exit and you have to go back around the roundabout, you're going to get in the inside lane. Means like I missed my exit and I'm going back around again. Now here are some crazy things that you can get a ticket for in Spain. You don't have your driver's license with you. You have 6 or 7 people in your car. You're wearing flip-flops while driving. You're driving barefoot or shirtless. You put your hand, arm, or elbow out of the window. You drink water while driving. You eat ice cream while driving. Your passenger has their feet on the dash. You throw a cigarette out the window. You wash your car on the street. Moving on to MWR/outdoor recreation. So they are both one building, but they're on like different sides. So on the MWR side, there is like kind of like a mini arcade. They have like a couple arcade games and massage chairs, free Wi-Fi. They also have like Netflix and a lot of other streaming apps on their TV that you can watch. And then on the outdoor recreation side, they do have like rentals. So if you want like a kayak, a bike, a scooter, skates, you know, stuff like that, that's where you would go. And I think the rentals are good for 24 hours or something like that. There's also this magazine called Vamos Magazine. It basically just tells you like the activities and the events coming up on base. So like for example, we found out that there was going to be like a dueling piano event, which is basically like 2 people have 2 pianos and they're singing songs that people request in their own version. And it was actually really fun. We found that through Vamos Magazine that we got from the library, but I'm pretty sure you can get them anywhere, almost anywhere on base. Moving on to the Family and Fleet Center. The Family and Fleet Center is where we had our ICR classes. I'm not sure if that's where they have them at all the time, but down the hall from where we were, there's also a place where you can go to get like pots and pans and stuff like that if you're moving and your stuff hasn't arrived yet. We actually did have to do that because our stuff didn't get here until about like 2 weeks after we moved in already, so obviously you can't live without pots and pans, and we didn't want to buy more, so we just borrowed them from Family and Fleet Center, and I think they do let you keep it for about 30 days. We got like can openers, spoons, knives, bowls, plates, basically just stuff to help you cook. They also do hold monthly events there, which again you can find in the Vamos magazine. They have like relocation assistance, financial planning assistance classes. You can do like spouse meetup events and like a whole bunch of other things. There's also a breastfeeding or quiet room in there. I believe it's upstairs. You can go in there as well even if you don't have your kids with you, if you just need like a minute to calm down or relax. Okay, let's talk about the food that they have on base. So there is a place called Bombers. I would not recommend going there. Every time that we've gone there, the food was absolutely disgusting. The smoothies were disgusting. It's kind of like a knockoff Chipotle, and it's actually worse than Chipotle, and it's worse than Taco Bell. So I would not recommend it. I mean, you can always try it. There's people there eating all the time, but me and my husband just did not like it. And if my husband doesn't like it, I know it's really trash because he's not picky at all. There's Pizza Via. If you're coming in from the Rota gate, it's going to be right there next to Baskin Robbins, but it's actually not in that building right now because I think they're like remodeling or something. So it is going to be across from like the fire station. The pizza there is really good though. And they also have like wings and soda and stuff like that. There's also kind of like a mini casino in there as well if you want to gamble and eat pizza. There's Subway, Dunkin' Donuts, and the food in the galley is actually really good. We ate there on Christmas and during ICR classes because we didn't feel like driving back home to eat, and we were like really satisfied with the food. Also in the bowling alley, there is like American food there, so we only went in there really fast, but I think I saw like hot dogs and pretzels, maybe nachos. It's just mostly like little finger foods. And now we're gonna talk about traveling. Sevilla is about an hour and a half away. We did recently drive there, and I think it took us about a little bit over an hour because there wasn't really that much traffic. But if you do want to go like on the train or the bus, it's going to be about like 90 minutes. If you were planning on visiting Gibraltar, nobody from the military can go there right now because the British just recently got control over it. And I know you're probably thinking to yourself like, Gibraltar is in Spain, why did the British have control? I don't know, but the base is kind of trying to figure out right now like what's a way that we can travel there and get back safely, because sometimes they'll let you in with your passport or your military ID, and then when you try to get out they won't let you out, so then you have to catch a flight to like Italy, back to Madrid, and then back to Rota. So just don't go there, and they're not going to let you go there anyway if you put in paperwork to travel there. So here are a list of a couple cheap airlines. Puerto de Santa Maria has the closest train station, so if you're trying to take the train somewhere, you have to come to Puerto. There are tolls to Portugal, and they're anywhere from $1 to $3, so I would keep euros on me in like small denominations. And they also have like dollar coins, which I would recommend as well because I don't know if the tolls give you change. Lastly, do not travel on Spanish holidays or during the summer because it's going to be expensive and crowded because everybody is trying to travel at that time. The best times I would say to travel is during like the winter when there's no one really here, and also during like American holidays because the Spanish do work on our holidays and then we work on their holidays if you work on base. Okay, moving on to shopping. Passion Home is for crafts, so if you're looking for art supplies or things like that, that's where you would go. Here are a list of grocery stores that we usually go to. Carrefour actually does have like home good items, clothing, shoes, as well as groceries. El Corte Inglés is similar to Macy's, and then they do have their own grocery store which is called Hypercore. If you are looking for home improvement items or kind of something like a Home Depot, there's Leroy Merlin, Bricor, and Brico Depot. Some malls that we have been going to are Luz Shopping, Bahia Sur, Las Dunas, and El Paseo. I'm gonna go further into detail what Luz Shopping has. There's also a Costco in Sevilla if you feel like driving an hour and a half to get some Costco stuff. So they do have a store here called Decathlon. It's similar to Sports Authority, and it is in Puerto. Okay, so let's talk about Luz Shopping. The fast food that they have at Luz Shopping is like Carl's Jr., KFC, McDonald's, and Taco Bell. They also have an American food restaurant which I have not been to yet called Foster's Hollywood. Muerta de la Pasta is an Italian buffet, and I highly recommend going there if you're in the area or if you're looking for something to eat. I think it's about like $15 per person, and they have like wine and beer on tap. They have yogurts, ice cream, fresh bread, a lot of pastas, just like a lot of Italian Italian food, a lot of pizzas and things like that. It's worth it. It is really, really worth it. There's also a Skechers store, an Adidas store, Nike, and a Puma store. They have Guess and Lefties, which is similar to like Old Navy, Levi's, and Primark, which is similar to Target. There's a Sunglass Hut there as well, and an IKEA. If you have kids, there's a toy store there called Who Get Those? I guess it's like Geppetto's. The toys in there are a little bit expensive. I went in there looking for Funkos, but if you don't mind the price, you can go there. It's fine. There's Toy Planet as well, and Costa Jump or Costa Jump. It's basically like a trampoline park. If you've heard of like Jump Around or stuff like that, it's basically the same thing. They do have go-karting there as well, which they have an indoor and an outdoor track, and you get to wear like a fancy little, you know, racing jumpsuit, and then there's like an arcade in there as well. And the last thing they have there for kids is Royal Kids, which is like an outdoor play place. Kind of think like a McDonald's play structure, but just a little bit more to do. Okay, now let's talk about some good food off of base. One of the things you're gonna notice about Spain is that a lot of their food here does not have any flavor. So at first we were literally walking around with like hot sauce and stuff like that because we were just eating and it was like bland. It just didn't taste that good at all. These are places that we have found that have really, really good flavor and really, really good food. If you go anywhere other than this, don't blame me. I'm trying to tell you now. So I'm just gonna touch on a couple of them. I already talked about Morda de la Pasta. I really, really, really recommend going there. Another good one is Al Andalunas Doner Kebab. They have the best tacos ever. Their tacos does have like corn in it, and like the chicken is shredded chicken, but it is so good. Their pizzas are really good, but the only thing about them is that they open at 8 o'clock at night. But trust me, it is really, really, really worth the wait. We went to Sedona Bar and Grill for Valentine's Day, and it was really good. My husband got like a chicken sandwich, and I got their chicken fajita. It was really good with the exception of the elote. I just didn't like it. But other than that, it's really good. I would probably compare it to like Chili's, maybe just a little bit more upscale. And they do have like a full bar there as well. So if you want to go just for drinks, there's a good place to go. I also got a Long Island iced tea, and it was literally this big. One thing about the drinks in Spain is that they are really strong. There's like a heavy pour here. So I would not recommend like getting more than one drink because you're probably going to be tore up after the first one, depending on like your tolerance. Lastly, before I go, I'm just going to talk about some other little things that I feel like you should know as well. So everything is closed on Sunday in Spain with the exception of like a couple of like little restaurants. Like we found an empanada place on Sunday, but it wasn't really like a restaurant. It was kind of like an outdoor little place with a tent. But other than that, everything is going to be closed, like fast food, the malls. Also, something I noticed here is like the fast food tastes healthier, if that makes sense. Like the patties are way thicker at like McDonald's and stuff like that. There are a lot more options here as well. They have like a Kit Kat shake, there's an Oreo shake, and like some other shakes that I can't really remember the name of right now, but it's like all candy based and they're really good. Burger King also does have some really good chicken wings. I would highly, highly, highly recommend getting the chicken wings from Burger King. A lot of the stuff out here is cheap. The fast food does tend to add up, but other than that, if you're getting like meat from the grocery store or like wine, it's really cheap. Like we would get wine all the time for like $1, $2. Even hard liquor is like $6, $8. So you are gonna need like transformers depending on if you live off base or not. If you live on base, you don't have to worry about it, but if you live off base, you are gonna need transformers, and you can get these from the Next because you do not want to blow up anything that you own. If the watts are too high and you try to plug it into like the wall in your EU home, it's more than likely gonna blow your TV up, versus if you plug the transformer into the wall and then the transformer has 2 different watt outputs and then you plug it into there, it won't blow your stuff up. Do not be afraid if someone tries to kiss you when they see you. It's just common here. The proper way to do a kiss greeting is right and then left. It's also customary to bring a gift to someone's house if you're visiting them. I wouldn't do this if you're like going to some like American person's house or something. I mean, you can if you want, but this mostly only pertains to people who were born and raised in Spain. Otherwise, it's like seen as rude if you come to their house like empty-handed. There's also a drive-in on base, but it's only open during the summertime. And like in America, you're gonna need bags when you go grocery shopping. So if you do forget some, they have like paper or the plastic ones or like the tote bag kind of ones. And I think the ones at Aldi are like 50 cents or something like that. Also, if you like fish, do not buy fish on Monday. I believe that's like the leftover fish that didn't sell from the prior week. Also, if you move into a place that has like a washer and no dryer, it's because it is really, really common here for people to just like hang dry their clothes. Thankfully, we have a washer and a dryer. And then another thing you're gonna hear a lot is go to a Chino store, get this from a Chino store. Chino stores are basically just like Chinese stores and don't worry, it's not offensive. That's literally just what they're called here. So yeah, that's pretty much all the information that I have for you guys. I've been here since December, and this is kind of like everything that I was able to pick up while I was here. But if there's something I didn't talk about that you want me to talk about, drop your comments below and I'll do my best to answer them. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video.